Peace, Black Hat Priestess. I just was kind of in a little ritual mode. It's the Saturday um, before New Year's Eve, and we've got a full moon on our New Year's weekend. So I was just enjoying. I don't know if y'all can see. Y'all see the reflection instead of the moon, but I'll turn the lights out and show you the moon from the window tomorrow night when I do my ritual. So I didn't really have anything specific, but they were just saying go live. So originally I wanted to salute you all. I got special hot toddy tonic here. Just a little bit left, and so I wanted to salute you all with my chalice and start our New Year's celebrations with libations. I enchanted my tea already and spoke words into it. Some of the words that came up, especially because it's Saturday. And the energy of Saturday, it's the day of rest. But it also has a strong death energy. It's always carried like a strong, Day of the Dead energy, because of the resting, being at rest. And that's why you put rest and peace on the grave. So Saturday represents the grave, and that's one of the reasons it's important to honor the Sabbath, and take that day of rest. And it's very there's a deep occult ritual to making people work on Saturdays. Aside from practical reasons, hell is considered a place where people never rest. And so that's why they say there, ain't no rest for the wicked. That's where the wicked go, to hell. And, we live in a place where people don't rest. And Saturday is the day designated by the divine for resting. And so it's the Day of the Dead. And so it's a very solemn Saturday. I'm in ritual and kind of, dressed up a little bit, and I tend to dress up and, do my makeup and everything for Saturday. But so I wanted to do libations, and we'll start our new year off. And we're gonna wipe away, banish with the energy of Saturday. We're gonna lay to rest all of the turmoil that was experienced, or maybe even necessary, but traumatic maybe, and enlightening, empowering and strengthening. But we're just gonna start laying that to rest. And I guess I just wanted to lead with that and the energy getting. And I know I don't have a specific audience that I want to reach, but in this tarot reading here, I'm told to address the relationship between Black women and Black men, and the dividing and conquering that has happened, that needs to be addressed and confronted, and the love that needs to be unlocked and released not expressed as anger, but expressed as love. And that's only going to come through people confronting their programming against themselves. And everyone's, and when I say black people's programming against themselves, I'm talking about accepting the ways that white supremacy in society, and particularly through religion and media and education programs, black people to hate themselves and believe that they are inferior and to play that out. Also confronting the sexism through religion, mass media propaganda that causes black people to have very negative outlooks on dark black women. So these are things that affects everyone in our race. These are mentalities that we all hold and play out. It's a negative view of African heritage, particularly African spiritual heritage, and a negative view of the black female through religion. So when we confront these things in ourselves and in our race, I'm speaking to my black people at this point. Not that I don't want other people to not listen. There'll be times where, I may only want to have conversations with, certain demographics, like family talks. But I think this year they're telling me to, and through this tarot reading, what is being shown is this year confronting in our religious organizations, in our media, in our day-to-day lives, the self-hatred and sexism that does in fact keep the black race in an inferior state. Inferior has the word fear in it. In fear, literally living and being in fear of your own shadow, which is voodoo, your own spiritual heritage. Literally being afraid of your own shadow, and literally hating your own mother who gave you life, and left this world instead of destroying it. Yemayad flooded this world. I mean, this world was flooded before, and instead of doing it again, because Oshun wanted to, Oshun wanted to save the world, but this time I think it's going to be trial by fire. But I mean, I feel like that's, and that's one of the things that has to do with the sun. But again, that's a more scientific comedic topic. For the new year, I think it's really time for black men to confront their true perspective of black women, and that means confronting their fetishes, and why. And I'm not just talking about the obvious and propagated preference for a light skin or non-black woman. Also, if that's not your preference, preference, if you are a man who is living with the preference for dark-skinned women, and you understand, you know, what that entails, and how desiring something that's oppressed causes you to have to be stronger and to kind of have to defend your preferences, you know, and be looked at a certain way. Confronting your strength as well as your weakness. And it's not to say that one preference makes you strong and one makes you weak. But when you first confront the programming that you may or may not have, because we're all at different levels and wavelengths, but we're confronting ourselves first and then confronting these truths. So before you confront and I'm talking to men right now, and I'm not talking about your sexual orientation. I'm talking about your views and perspectives and preferences. For people in your life. Men, black men. When it comes to the females around you, think about why, and after confronting the self-hatred and sexism that we've been programmed with, and what level you have within yourself, can you confront things in your life and how they may be a reflection of what level of self-hatred and sexist programming you have to self-destruct? Black women, I'm asking you to confront your relationships with black women and your preferences for what type of black women you want to be around and have in your life, and why. After confronting what level of self-hatred and sexism that you may have and carry, and how it is, and how your life is a reflection of how much you truly love yourself, your race, and your reflection, or not. So I'm asking us to start really confronting and asking these questions as individuals, and then really looking at whether or not we are ready, willing, and able as individuals to unite with one another as black people. So let's start the new year off right, and I guess I should talk about the challenge that I did. I challenged black women to not say anything negative, or, you know, negative or insulting, you know, anything that's not constructive criticism toward other black women for a full year on media and in personal conversations, and even in your thoughts. Because if you watch in your thoughts and you catch yourself thinking something negative, and it happens to be about another black woman, whether she be someone you know, or someone you who's famous somehow, or someone that you may have encountered, you know, in your daily life that maybe rubs you the wrong way. And you know, so we can see the way the vibration of the whole planet, you know, changes. But the vibrations around you, how they change after a year of choosing to only project negative, or only project positive energy and reject negative energy toward your sisters. And through reestablishing sisterhood, how you know, sexism through religion is shifted and rebalanced to more becoming like an ankh than a cross. And how men are, you know, really not, you know, not talked at and given that negative attention that they want and need, so they don't have to take responsibility, but actually just ignored and only acknowledged, you know, from a place of, you know, common courtesy. But the negative energies or the things about our race, or about, you know, black men as a whole, not the individuals, but as a whole, that have, you know, disappointed and damaged black women, ignoring that and only focusing on the positive energy you project to other black women to heal that. That's how you take responsibility. You don't try and discuss something with a man who is not speaking the same language yet. You talk to the sisters who are speaking the same language, and we heal each other and reestablish our position. Because until black women unite, our race isn't going to unite. Because the dividing and conquering started with the women, getting the women to worship men, which was not, you know, worship versus, you know, honoring, acknowledging, and making offerings and rituals and things. The idea of, you know, the worship and the praise done through religion was not the way we honored our ancestors. We were taught to bow to a white masculine figure, you know, and the feminine image of it, you know, essentially teaches you to bow to white people in an androgynous state, you know. So women deeming themselves worthless other than motherhood, and feeling that the man is her God on earth, and not, you know, having ever understood that you were God's gift to the man, not the other way around. Healing each other's pain instead of looking to the men to heal will create the shift. When black women become healthy by, and one of the reasons that I started this challenge was being really disappointed in the lack of gratitude and appreciation from other black women, but particularly ones who kind of looked a little more like me and related a little bit more to me. But, you know, there was always some type of barrier, and also noticing the slightiness and kind of resentment, you know, from certain, you know, it always seemed one of the common denominators in my experience was mothers. Just the sense of feeling, because you were a mother, that that's something about the way I carried myself and presented myself that you have a right to, you know, maybe in my face, you know, show that you respect because it looks good, but you know, behind my back, feeling the need to you know, put, you know, I guess put on airs. I don't know, you know, put on airs. And I think seeing the lack of ability that other black women in Chicago, and I'm not always talking about from Chicago, but in this city, there is a wavelength and a grid that is specific. Okay, it's a specific energy here, and just really experiencing the refusal to show appreciation, not the lack of appreciation, the refusal to show and demonstrate appreciation. Treating me as if I owed you something because you saw I clearly had a lot to offer, but treating me as if I owed it to you. That energy really started to disappoint me. And seeing how black women really, you know, feel about another black woman who dares to demonstrate power and divinity. I didn't realize how much black women hated themselves until you showed them what they wanted to be. Imitation is the biggest form of flattery. And I think I never realized how much black women were really depending on black men, not for the basic resources, but for a level of self-esteem. Seeing how I could talk and preach and bring mysteries to black women, but they would prefer to hear it out of the mouth of a man and flirt with him and be flattered with him and give him all the energy. You know what I'm saying? Just really seeing where black women's self-worth and value was and is. And I've always known that I was going to be a black female activist. I always have been. I gave a speech about the importance of men giving oral sex to women as foreplay as a sophomore in high school. I had the whole high school talking about it. My teacher even interviewed me after I gave the speech because he was so curious about who I was and how I was being raised and everything, and people had no clue. I always knew that I came back. I always knew I was normal. I remember looking at myself in the mirror and studying myself and knowing your beauty is not from this planet. Looking at the way the values, the feminine principles of chastity that my mother instilled in me through religion, but through her own personal experiences and preferences. Religion was just one of the tools that she used to instill chastity of virtue in me. Not realizing that her desire to lock up and preserve the power, the sexual power and energy and feminine beauty that she saw I had was, went hand in hand with what it means to be a virgin, which was women whose sexual power and oracle energy and womb power was so divine that they were paid and given offerings for the ability to enter different portals through sexual activity with her. A virgin was in fact a woman whose sexual energy needed to be preserved because it opened and gave access to other realms and portals. And that is the mystery, an aspect of it, of what it means to be a virgin. And I never realized how deep the enslavement to motherhood was in our women. I guess I assumed that because of the way I saw my mother and her choice to be a single mother, you know what I'm saying? And just seeing the struggles of that, and her making the wisest choice that she could, and seeing the struggle of having to make that choice. But I at a young age, I guess when I really started to come out as and bring what I always knew I was here to bring, I never expected to feel so disappointed in Black women. And doing a lot of self-reflection and self-this and self-that, I grew, but that disappointment, it didn't change. I gave myself the right to acknowledge that there is a deep level of damage. Black women are not worshiping goddess energy and understanding it, and that's where you get the concept of burning witches. It wasn't just the men who went on witch hunts. Women did not appreciate, just like was men who didn't, well, I'll say show gratitude, did not want that form of power there, just like the government, in a Marvel world, or a DC world, just like the government didn't want the X-Men or the superheroes, not without being able to control them. So it's time for Black women to rebirth the race, the human race. All right, well, I don't know what else. I guess next time I'll show y'all when the moon comes up, maybe tomorrow night around this time. And this year, Black women, it's time to take the throne. We aren't being shown how many Black men are our allies and on our side, because the revolution won't be televised. And there are some I'm doing a reading right now, and I feel like there's some things that have been in the works, some things patiently waiting. There's a lot of potential through Black unity, and it's been a long time coming. And through voodoo, through doing voodoo, you know, which is something that I've been trying to do in Chicago, but Chicago is too religious and afraid of what they've been told is evil. Chicago's very superstitious, very spiritual, but very superstitious. And Chicago's afraid to be led by a woman. Chicago likes to elevate men because Chicago has a history of pimping. Here we're a city of pimps and hoes. So, you know, and I'm not saying that to disrespect pimps and sex workers, which are pimps and hoes. You know, all of them are sex workers. But I'm I'm not trying to disrespect. I'm saying that in this city, you know, there's a lot of religion, and you know, there's church everywhere, which keeps the Black woman oppressed, and you know, and there's pimps everywhere. Everywhere you look, it's men ruling and dominating women. You know, and you know, Black women co-sign it. You know what I'm saying? And not always. I don't want to say that, but there's enough of, you know, no. What I want to say is there's a lack of resources for, you know, Black women's self-esteem and disciplining the Black man. There's a huge lack of resources for those things, especially for the youth through growing up, where it's easy to, you know, for, you know, Black women to play into the oppression, her own oppression. And you know, we have a unique city where, you know, Black people, I believe, have a certain level, deal with a certain level of racism, that's very corporate, but also in the same side of the token, or on the other side of the token, have opportunities to go deal with a unique form of racism. If you get my drift. All right. So I think it's been a long time coming, and there's a lot of Black men who understand what the Black woman is, and that she, in fact, is the key to our freedom and nationality. And, you know, I think there's a lot of Black women who are free enough to ally with these men. So, I'm seeing some great things, but what I was saying is Black men, get ready to defend the Black woman. Start practicing it. Start, you know, practicing speaking up to her when you see, you know, white women mistreating her, treating her the way some white guys may treat you, or more so the Spanish guys. It be them Spaniards a little bit more than it do be these white guys who will straight up be racist to you. But I'm speaking for my city right now. Start defending her when you're at these jobs and you see her being mistreated because her skin is darker, or because the white girls don't want the Black girls to you know, interact with the black guys because they have to keep a certain corporate dynamic, you know what I'm saying? And that fits with the standards that have been set for this city. You know, start standing up for her the way, you know, we, you know, we all want to be stood up for when, you know, the race is being brutalized by cops, you know, and incarcerated unjustly. You know, you have to start standing up for the black woman on a day-to-day basis. Then the energy around you will shift and you will start to get respect of black women. But if you go through your life not saying anything every time you see black women being treated a certain way, or the dark-skinned women being mistreated by everyone else, and you're in a certain setting, you're in a college setting, or you're in a corporate work setting, or you're in an entertainment setting and with a group of friends, and you're at a bar, or you know, a social event, and you see the dark-skinned women being treated a certain way, or you see the sisters being treated a certain way within the group, you have to start speaking up. You have to start standing up. And sometimes it may look like when you enter into the situation, the first thing you do is you acknowledge that dark-skinned woman, or you acknowledge the sisters who are in that situation. So you already set a standard, letting people know that I will be protecting these women in the event that you feel like you can take advantage of her. It may look like that. And I'm not talking about coming up trying to get her number. I'm talking about acknowledging her with respect and chivalry. If you have any ounce of, you know, I'm not talking to those who don't have royal blood in them. We're not talking about the problems. I'm talking to the solutions only. Start to show your chivalry and set a climate in social settings to say that these women have some level of protection in the event that you feel that you can take advantage or take anything out on them because they are naturally vulnerable in this society. If you don't start doing that, no black woman, no black man, and no other race of man or woman is going to respect you. If you are a black man and you can't go out here and demonstrate that you have the ability to protect and defend and provide for the black woman at whatever level you're capable of doing it. Okay? Black women, acknowledge the black men. Acknowledge the black men. If he acknowledges you before he goes on his program to ignore you and only acknowledge what's white, if he does break that program and acknowledge you, acknowledge him. If he's disrespectful, check him so he knows how to acknowledge you in a respectful way. But if he is acknowledging you, going out of his way, which means going out of this programming that he's been under, if he's breaking this spell to acknowledge you, please acknowledge and communicate with him. Black women, you know we have the ability to communicate better than our brothers. I'm not talking about everyone, but I'm talking about in general. So sisters, use our ability to communicate a little better to communicate to him how he needs to do it if it's a disrespectful way. But please acknowledge him. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do, but you do owe it to him to say, I see you. I see that you have made yourself a target by showing them that you have my back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to acknowledge you and show them that, you know what? I love black men first. Because he showed you that love. Give it to him back in whatever way you can. And if you need to check him first, check him first. If you need to check him away from the public and say, this is how you need to approach me, but I do appreciate you showing unity and making me feel a little safer in a setting where I am the most vulnerable. Practice it. If a man approaches you, you know, practice how you speak to the black man and how you can reject him and turn him down, but also communicate with him in a way where he still feels like a man because he approached you. Make him feel like a man, you know what I'm saying, and make, if you can't, if he's trying to make light of it, you know what I'm saying, because I don't want to definitely speak for all women, but you know, as a lady, you know, I don't I don't go after, you know what I'm saying, like I am very passive, you know what I'm saying. When you're seductive, you reel things in, and then once you're comfortable, then you open up, you know, but you kind of reel things in. So to be the aggressor in the situation, no, I don't know and understand what that's like, nor do I envy that role. So realize what it means that he is the gender, the complementary gender that is exposed. We're the ones that's hidden through his protection of us. And that's where you get the idea of chastity. It's keeping the mysteries, and it's the role of the high priestess. You know, and so through his protection, your mystery can be preserved. And so what was it? So show appreciation and increase in value any gesture that he makes and exposes himself in order to protect you and make you protected and safe and concealed. Okay. Hotep Islam. So make sure you're understanding that he's the one who is exposed. The phallus is exposed where the womb is hidden. Okay? So he's the one who has to expose himself and put himself on Front Street so you can survive. So we need, when our men are doing that while we're in a situation where we're at war, among you know, families within the human race that are at war, you know, if he is demonstrating that warrior energy, that's when you show appreciation in whatever way you can, whenever you can. Because if he's doing that, he might not, if he's doing that to a certain level, like in an actual war where people are risking their lives, and that's not just their jobs or their relationships or a debate where there are actually weapons involved and losing their lives, you know what I'm saying? He is risking things, and it does come with risk. So you have to be that reward. And so we do have to, so sisters, practice that. Maybe when guys are hollering at you or things like that, start practicing how you communicate with the black man. If you have time, take time to communicate with him and see where it goes. Because and also practice, you know what I'm saying, you know, practice communicating with him and not just letting him communicate with you. Okay? Practice letting him know what you need and what you require. And you know, a lot of the guys that holler at you, they may, you know what I'm saying, it may be like in passing or whatever, or, you know, but start to practice communicating to the black man what you require of him. And you know, just start practicing how you communicate with the black man, and having that queen mentality of or the princess mentality of a suitor approaching you, and you letting him know what the requirements are to have your time or anything beyond that. You got to start practicing your royalty. All right, so black men, you know, practice protecting and providing for the black women, and black women practice how you respond to a black man. So hopefully this challenge is going to help. Hopefully it's going to help the race. I know it will for those who participate in it. And I started in the beginning of December, I believe. So there's gonna be some exciting things for black people this year, but we're gonna have to really look in the mirror and start confronting the shadow of, you know, self-hatred and sexism that has made us inferior. So what is everyone doing for the new year? It's 46 minutes now. I think I'm probably gonna cut it short and have a little dinner, but I might check in with you guys later and let you all in on my New Year ritual.